The infamous
Happy
1987
Halloween!
live broadcast. Happy Halloween. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer, even though it's a week late.
No, the spirit keeps on living through us.
Happy Halloween, November 10th or something.
Hell yeah, brother.
This is episode 373, I believe, of I Hope You
Wow.
Suffer. Um, uh, WNUF announcer, parentheses, voice.
I'm also that, but the female version.
Yeah, Katie is a
You
Father
know,
Joseph Matherson.
that's me.
Uh,
It's pronounced Yosef. Thank
yes.
you.
We're going to talk about a WNUF Halloween special from 2013.
Here we are.
Uh,
I did this actually was this actually made and came out in 2013?
yes.
That is astonishing to me.
Yeah, so this is one of the things I was interested in like discussing in terms of like this compared to Ghostwatch
Yeah.
because like they're, so I talked about, I think, in the last episode, like I had bought the Blu-ray for this just because I wanted to support TerrorVision and then having their shit in Walmart. And like I said, I was surprised. I will say I think Ghostwatch is a more like it works better in terms of watching like a scary movie. Like I think
Sure. Yeah.
what Ghostwatch does is more effective. I think this is more fun. And I think a lot of
Okay.
that has to do with like the commercials and shit that are in it. Like the commercials are like so on
Wow.
point.
Yeah.
But I listened to the commentary for it, and there's like a couple of them, like because a lot of stuff anymore when it gets like upgraded to like Blu-ray or whatever, they'll like have a new commentary with the directors, but also the commentaries from like previous releases. So there's like 3 or 4 fucking commentaries on the disc for this, and they talk about how like when this came out, everyone was just like, oh, like clearly they love Ghostwatch, blah blah blah. Ghostwatch, 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 and the director was like, I don't think people understand that like you could not see Ghostwatch until recently.
No.
Like it was
Right.
not possible to watch until like the last 5 years or something. So like we made this with zero idea that Ghostwatch was a thing. And so it's kind
Well,
of like interesting how similar they are without them having seen Ghostwatch.
yeah, I mean, there are some market
Sure.
differences between Ghostwatch and this. Because, well, and like obviously the idea, I feel like this is like one of my favorite. I don't even know, again, like we talked about this okay, let me rewind. We did a bonus episode on Ghostwatch. And we did talk about it, I think, in a regular episode a little bit, but just to catch everybody up, Ghostwatch was a British program from the 80s, question mark, or was it
Yeah, I
the
believe. I
90s?
think
I
it's the
don't even
late
remember this
80s.
point. I think it was 80s because then I was talking about Blair Witch and that was like 90s or whatever, where they pre-recorded a TV crew going into a house that was supposedly haunted, and then they quote unquote live streamed it. They had people in the audience, and they played it as if it was real. It aired on TV, and people thought it was real. And then obviously it turned out not to be. And like what you were just saying, it was pretty much only aired on TV that one time. There was like a bunch of fallout that happened around surrounding it, and it just now became possible, like widely available to watch. It's on Shutter right now. If you have that, what did we watch it on? Archive,
I think Internet Archive.
Internet Archive. It's on there for free if you don't want to pay for Shutter. And like overall, I love the idea. This like subgenre of because I don't even want to call it's like not when we're talking about movies, normally specifically we're referring to found footage, obviously. And that's really kind of like taken over, I feel like, recently. But there's also like another subgenre because like found footage is obviously something that they're saying, it's like quote unquote mockumentary, documentary style, where they're basically like, this happened, it was real, we'll show it to you. But like, it is sometimes presented in ways that is not found footage, even though it's like the same idea. And so it's like the subgenre of, and specifically, like, I've been reading a lot of books like this where it is very much like, um, I actually just finished one. It was called Episode 13, by Craig DeLuey, maybe his name is. And it was basically about, and this is a trope that I love. I will watch it over and over again. It's one of my favorite tropes and subgenres of movie where like somebody is investigating a paranormal like situation and they don't believe in it and it turns out to be real. I will eat that up every single time. And so the book that I just finished reading was essentially like a paranormal ghost hunting show that it's kind of like made up of people that some believe, some don't believe or whatever. And the book is told from diaries of the characters and also what's it called? Not like a hot sheet, but where it's like transcribing what's not only what's happening, but also what people are saying for a TV show. I
Okay.
don't know TV show genre, but that's what it basically was. And then so like that genre of like book even like I love it so much I'll eat it up. And so, Ghostwatch is a little bit different in that they were able to trick people in real life into thinking that this was a real thing, even though it wasn't. We talked about Blair Witch, we did that like 4 hour Blair Witch bonus. It wasn't a bonus episode, our anniversary episode. So if you missed that, you can go back and talk, listen to it because we talk extensively about how some of us thought it was real, some of us didn't. That was like varying degrees of success or whatever. WNUF is not trying to pretend like it's real at all. Like they didn't make it and then air it and be like, oh yeah, we found this footage. Because the thing that I think is great about this is that, so I was like shocked to hear, I thought maybe that this was something that they made forever ago and then they found it and edited it or whatever because it looks legit like
It looks like it's from the 80s or like early
like
90s or whatever.
literally, yeah. I don't
So
even know.
I will
Yeah.
say I could be misremembering this or equating it with something else. I
Okay.
believe when they first released this, I think they just like threw some VHS tapes out there to make people kind of think they found something. But I don't quote me on that. I could be equating that with something else, but for some reason I feel like they said that in the commentary, and then we're just like, oh, here's like the actual release, because like the big difference between this and Ghostwatch is Ghostwatch plays is something that aired specifically live on TV. This is set up like you found someone's VHS tape that has all of the commercials. Some of them are fast forwarded through. Some of them like skip around. There's like the VHS, like a what like it doesn't look like the effect I always bitch about, in modern found footage where they try to make it look old, but
Right,
like
right, right.
it looks like they shot stuff and actually put it on VHS tape and then re-recorded it kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
it
I
looks authentic.
I do believe some of the footage from commercials that don't feature like somebody talking to the camera is taken from like actual old stuff, and then they just like, because there's like specifically there's like a carpet company commercial that plays a
Yeah.
couple times that is actual footage from a previous commercial that they just put this guy in front of or whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Okay.
anyway, whatever.
Sure.
Go back to whatever you're saying.
Yeah. No, like it looks legitimately authentic. Like it really does. There's no digital editing look to it. Like it literally looks legit.
Yeah.
And so like and so the biggest difference is that like the similarity is essentially that like we're watching a and like the other thing about the Ghost Watch one is that they literally took people who were like real news anchors and like trusted and had them
Right.
do this prank or whatever, which is, gotta love the commitment to the bit. This is, the parallel essentially is that like it is a news studio saying that they're going to go and investigate this house that is supposedly haunted. And then they're also showing us kind of like exposés about different things, which they did do in Ghostwatch. In this one, they really focus on like it's like a satanic panic type thing. And but other than that, like yeah, I will say the thing that I was a little bit confused about is that the thing that you're talking about where we're watching the news airing live and then there's commercials. And the thing that was confusing to me was the fast forwarding because like I don't think you like because they're presenting this as if somebody recorded it off of TV through a VHS and I don't think you could like fast forward through
I
stuff.
believe the idea is supposed to be that you
We are
are
doing it.
watching, no, you're watching someone's redub of a VHS. So, like, they are
They were
essentially, like,
re-recording
yeah,
it.
so basically they're playing the
Okay.
VHS and recording it onto another VHS. And because I think the funniest part is all, like, most of the stuff they fast forward through are either commercials you've already seen or, like, news stories about, like, political shit. So anytime it's like there'd be like a news thing about like some political campaign scandal. They're like, nope, fast forward, goodbye.
Well, and then there's like, well, and that's kind of like the fast forwarding. This is what I will say. Overall, I did find this enjoyable. My gripes about it is also kind of what makes it authentic, and I understand that that is a conundrum. I understand that that is ironic. So like essentially I basically just took notes on some of the finer commercials, I will say,
Like
and then
the
I have like an
sarcophagus one.
yes, I did.
I
Yeah,
want to
of
see that
course.
so bad.
I was like, where's that? And
um.
then I took notes on like just the overview of what's happening in the news
Okay.
thing. But my issue is that it does feel really authentic. It basically feels like you're watching like a public access channel where there's like advertisements for like a local reading group. There are, yeah, political slander campaigns, which I found very funny. There's like a local dentist who was paid for a TV spot
About how
because he's
Halloween
buying bad
candy.
candy.
Yeah.
I have a I have a problem with that though because I feel like dentists want money, so they would want kids to
I
be
you
having
you would
cavities
think
and
so,
stuff.
but I remember that being a thing where
Yeah,
like
I
dentists
interesting.
would like be like, if you bring me 10 pounds of candy, I'll give you $10 or fucking whatever. Um,
Yeah. Well, maybe those are like the pure of heart dentists.
so
Um,
on real quick on IMDb trivia thing, it says before the movie's official release, the filmmakers and producers attempted a whisper campaign, doing such things as leaving several VHS copies laying around a VHS convention in Pennsylvania and throwing copies out of a car window while driving around
okay.
Baltimore in hopes of sparking conversation about the film. So like they before it like
Amazing.
officially came out, they did try to at least get some people to like stumble across it and talk about it online. So
Yeah.
that there was a little bit of like trying to play it off as if it was real, but I think by the time it was coming, they were going to premiere it either at a theater on DVD or whatever. It's it's obviously not
Right.
not real.
Okay, I do love that. But Yeah, so my main issue comes from the fact that, yeah, they do play the commercials multiple times, which like would absolutely happen if you're watching TV. But towards the end, it really started to get old, I will say, because
Yeah.
like once stuff is like ramping, quote unquote, ramping up with the investigation, they cut to commercial every like minute. So it'll be like 1 minute of this fucking Frank reporter guy being like blah 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 blah, and then the producer will be like, okay, we're cutting to commercial, and then it would cut to commercial, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, like it just got to be too much to me at the end. Even though again, some of the commercials are very funny, I'm like, just get to it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
So
think it would feel more authentic if like instead of cutting to commercials, they would cut back to the studio or something instead. Because
yeah,
like I do
yeah,
agree, like I would say 70% of the movie is commercials.
yes, definitely.
But it also like does, I don't know, feel authentic despite how annoying it could get. Um,
Yeah, I guess I just feel like some of that could have been um
Edited down or
bypassed.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, you don't even have to edit it down. Do the fast forwarding. Like you've already shown
Well,
us that you're doing fast forwarding, so I feel like at the end, if you're wanting to find out what happened, that's what you would be
my
doing.
assumption is that if they do that, they don't hit their whatever
Oh, no, I
time.
get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I get
Like
it. I get it.
I will also
I'm
say
just saying it's like annoying to watch.
there is a sequel to this that is on
Oh,
the Blu-ray. I don't believe it's streaming anywhere. It's called the Out There Halloween Special or something like that, and it is, if I remember correctly, the lady that's in the van
the
during,
producer.
yeah, after this airs, she gets her own talk show. And so the first half of that special is she has a Sally Jesse Raphael style, like Donahue talk show.
Okay.
And that you watch part of that, and it's kind of the same way. Like there's some commercials, but you get, you watch, half the movie is that. And then it cuts to what is, you find out she got fired because of the episode you're watching, and I can't remember exactly what happens in it at this point. But
That's cool.
it then cuts to because she got fired and now she is hosting this like knock off unsolved mystery ish type show that is essentially doing like what this Frank guy is doing in this, except she is following this cult that believes aliens are following this comet that is, when it goes by, they're going to get like ascended to whatever their off-world reward is going to be. And
Sure.
you get to the end and they tensions are starting to like amp up because they're talking about like, oh, like the comet's coming, we're all gonna like drink this poison and then we're all gonna go to like our reward, blah blah blah, whatever, like, so hail bop, fucking whatever.
Yeah.
And as that's starting to amp up, the producers send out an alien, and all the people in the cult are like, "Oh my god, it's happening!" Blah blah blah, and they all start like drinking the poison, and some of them are dying, and then like the alien pulls its head off, and it's just like a human because he's like, I forget, it's like something where like they start coughing and can't breathe, they have to take the mask off, and like all the cult members are like killing themselves on camera as,
Oh
as
my
this
God.
alien just like, I'm not real, and they're just like, what the fuck, why would you do this? And it's, I find it less effective than WNUF Halloween Special, but I did find it pretty enjoyable as well because the like mid 90s sort of like Fox TV like garbage expose
Yeah.
shit they're doing in it is pretty spot on as well.
Yeah, like Geraldo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do love that. I love that angle of it because yeah, the producer definitely should have gotten fired. She just like sat in the van and did not do anything at all.
I wouldn't
Except
either.
sometimes she cut to commercial, but
I
what are you even there for?
I guess we could discuss it when we get to the end
Yeah.
of like what
Yeah.
you think happens at the end of
So,
this. So
okay, so let's see what I've got. Yeah, we are a person watching a VHS. It immediately starts with us being introduced to like an actual like a news studio. I love how like what the one host is like dressed up as a vampire, like Dracula, and the other one's a witch, I think. But the studio is completely decked out and decorated, and it looks so 90s that
right.
I absolutely loved it. Like everything about the aesthetic of this, I absolutely love. Like it felt like as if this could have been it does. And you know what, I will say one thing, even though the commercials got kind of boring to me at the end, this felt, even though I knew both of the things were fake, this felt way more authentic to me than Ghostwatch did. But again, like when we were talking about that, you brought up a point of like it's British TV, so it is just inherently different, and
Yeah,
so like I get
I was
that.
gonna say that probably feels like because we aren't watching TV the same
Yeah.
way like British people do. So
Definitely, but this one got me. Like I felt as if I could have actually been watching
it
this as a
it
child.
definitely feels like I guess I forget when, but at some point in the last year or so, I talked about an episode I was watching all of the like Elvira MTV
Yeah.
specials, and the ones on YouTube they were like 4 hours long because all of the commercials were intact, and like the
Mhm.
MTV news shit every half hour or whatever, and I was like, man, this rocks. And
Yeah,
it felt
even
pretty much kind of like that's kind of like what this feels like watching if you took the like fast forwarding and stuff out of it.
yeah. And that was kind of like when I watched that one of those Blair Witch documentaries. I watched it on YouTube and it had the commercials, and there was
I
actually
love
some
it.
commercials that I had forgotten about. And it was amazing. Like this is obviously slightly different because these are not going to be
Sure.
commercials that you've ever seen unless, you know what I mean? But they had that feel. And the thing that I really appreciated about it too is that like whoever was in charge of designing like the commercials, there's like music in it, like in all of them, there's like graphics. There's that one commercial where they're like advertising a like quote unquote heavy metal
Oh yeah, the CD or
tape or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah, and they're showing like samples of different songs, like that rocked. Any of the I don't know what you call them, slide cards or whatever for like coming, like leaving the investigation of the house and coming back, and there was like that lightning and it went all
Yeah.
negative. Like that was all, that all rocked. Like whoever was doing design on this, like amazing. You need more, you need a raise. Okay. Um, yeah, public access feel, like I said, there's commercials for local programs, social programs, which I thought was interesting. I actually really thought that the political ads were funny because they're so real. Like
It's
you know, and it reminded
it's
me of Bobby
right.
Newport's
And
never worked
it's
a
but
job
it's
in his
also
life.
like I can't remember what the scandal is that's in it, but it's also like the
Something about dumping medical
yeah,
waste or
it's
something.
shit like that you like if it happened now would never make national news. You would never even fucking hear about it because it's just like everything is so stupid all the time. So it's like it's interesting to see it now where like you're like, "Oh yeah, this would like end someone's political career." And like now
Oh,
they would like
sure.
it would like they would just probably fucking become president, unfortunately.
Oh, and they have is the sad thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, okay. So there's also even commercials, even though like this takes place on Halloween, like it's the Halloween special. They had a commercial for a makeup kit that I loved. And then there's like a little bit of a TV spot about talking about like Halloween candy safety, you know, like don't get a needle in your candy and razor blades and all that shit. Um, which would have been on TV at the time. Then there's the spot we were talking about where the dentist comes on talking about how he'll offer money for candy turning in or whatever. Um,
I got
then there's
one
a,
now
oh
for
my God.
Gordon's petting zoo.
Yeah, Gordon's wedding. It's also like Joey's Pet Shop or something like that. This one took me aback. There is a news story about a kid who a year ago went trick-or-treating and he was wearing like military fatigues and he went trick-or-treating and knocked on the house of this guy who was like a retired military guy, and the guy had like a war flashback and thought that the little kid was like a
Yeah.
Vietnamese soldier and shot and killed him. And I was like, this is terrible because I'm sure that that's happened. But oh my God. So I will say, actually, well, we're already into it, but if you watch this, I think like trigger warning for obviously that. And then there is, unfortunately, off screen, but there is death of an animal. So let's just get that out of the way.
Also, the World Trade
Um,
Center is in one of the commercials,
wow.
which,
That's not.
you know, I don't care about,
Yeah.
but I just saw it and
No.
I was like, oh
I
yeah.
guess
I
I did.
isn't there a commercial that is like, oh fuck, what was it? It's about like a dog that like a woman almost runs this dog over and has to like adopt it, sitcom kind of thing.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah, there are commercials for like some sitcoms. They're all traumatizing. Like one of them is that. One of them is like this family confronting their like alcoholic uncle or something, and then I maybe he kills them. I'm not
I
sure.
believe there was
Everything in this is traumatic.
I believe there was one for like a horror hotline that was like one nine
Yes,
hundred something that
it's
was
1-900 Monster.
hell yeah.
I Okay, I actually am about to get to that. So they show that little thing about that poor child that was murdered on Halloween. Then we finally get some information about the investigation that's going to be happening live. So it is called the Weber House, and they are later. Uh, I wrote down this part in detail so we can go over it later. But they're essentially, and again, like remember in Ghostwatch, it was a live stream like with like the people just like hanging out in the house or whatever, and they weren't really, I would argue, investigating as much as they were just like hanging out and waiting for things to happen. But they had that call number where you could call and talk about like your paranormal experiences and things like that. They do technically, again, very similar, have that in this, where they're going to be investigating the house, and then later they're going to have a seance where people could call in and ask questions. um, so we find out what happened at this Weber house to make it infamous, essentially, is what they refer to as the quote unquote spirit board murders. Um, these two people, Paul and Linda, were murdered by their son Donald. We will find out more information about that later. But the only other thing they tell us is that it's the first time in 20 years that anybody has entered the house. It's been boarded up ever since, and they're going to enter it. There's this whole uh thing right after that about these like anti-Halloween Christian group who basically is talking about how witches are cursing the candy, and also there's goblins inside the candy, so they should outlaw Halloween. You know how that goes. I did know about how people think witches curse candy, but I did not know that there were goblins in candy. So that one was new to me.
I knew that.
Um, yeah, then there's a commercial for a kick-ass looking mummy movie called Sarcophagus. It looks sick as hell,
Yeah, I
and
want to
I want to
watch
see
that
it.
immediately.
So, and that's again why, like, I don't know where I don't know that they like put this person in mummy makeup specifically for this one scene, or if it's from something else. But if they did that, amazing.
It
Then
sounds
yeah,
like,
then there's
based on the trivia stuff on IMDb, that like most of the commercials is made out of stock footage. So that could have just been stock footage,
oh
and that like there's clearly the stuff that's like that carpet commercial thing or whatever,
yeah
as
yeah.
as somebody acting over it. But that I don't know, that could have been real. I don't know, or like an
Uh,
actual person they filmed.
Right, right, right. But anyways, I desperately need them to make that Mummy movie, so please do that. I know you're listening, WNUF Halloween special people. Then there is an ad that I would have gone bonkers for, which is 1-900 Monster, which is a call line where you can call and talk to monsters.
What a dream.
And the tagline was dial in and freak out. Ooh, Frankie Freako.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll have to have Steven back and talk about that. Okay. Okay, so 20 minutes into this program, we are finally actually at the haunted house, okay? They start telling us like the backstory of the house, which is that Donald, who was the son, found a wooden Ouija board in the attic. He started talking to the spirits and he just loved it so much that apparently he was like obsessed with it. Eventually he ends up decapitating his parents with an axe, and putting their bodies in the basement. Then he calls the cops himself and claims that devils made him do it. And he is later arrested and sentenced to death and is put to death. Again, parallels, obviously. This is like a story we've heard multiple times at this point. So that's the history of the house. Then there is an anonymous cop who comes on to say that they get calls all the time to go to the house because there's like disturbances or whatever. And like the one cop says that one time he went in and saw a woman whose head fell off. So, no thank you, I think, for me. um they then this fucking okay, so Frank is the name of like the newscaster that is like on at the house. He's the one that like goes inside or whatever. There's a few times here where he's doing like crowd work in front of the house. The crowd work is incredible.
It's so good. Because it feels like the type of people that would be there if this was real. Like they talk about very specifically in the commentary, there's like a guy who's dressed up, I think is Dracula, who just decided his entire character was that he just took like a bunch of LSD or like acid or some shit before. So he's just like completely zoned out. But like they ask him a question, he's just like,
Yeah, he specifically is what I was thinking of, because I will say this too, I forgot to mention at the top. Ghostwatch was played completely straight. This is very obviously a comedy. Like, it's not outright like people aren't like slapstick telling jokes or whatever, but it's very obviously meant to be funny. And this is like one of the first instances. Well, and first of all, like the newscasters are making like Halloween puns the whole time, which I love. But like, yeah, he's like asking people like, what do you think happened in this house? And they're like, oh, people fucking died or whatever. Like interviewing these people who are like wearing costumes. And then, yeah, they interview the Dracula guy and he's like, what do you think happened in this house? And he's just like staring at the camera. And then for like a couple seconds, and then he goes, people died? And he's like, yeah, that's why we're here. But he literally just has like the blankest stare, and it's so funny. And it's such like a, I feel, accurate represent this entire thing, especially when we get to the seance, I feel is very representative of like America.
Well, yeah, like, and there's someone else he interviews. There's like a woman, I can't remember what she's dressed up as. But like,
I think a witch, if I'm thinking the same person.
But like I don't even remember what he asks her, but it's like she does that thing that you see when like someone is asked something where there's a camera and they come off like they think they're gonna be fine, but the minute they start talking and realizing they're on camera, they're like, I don't know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. One of them is like, what do you think happened? And she's like, whatever. And then one of the girls is just like, hi, like saying hi and like waving or whatever. It is very funny. The crowd work is funny. I will say Frank is carrying this for me. Yeah, like obviously
I really appreciate that like his character clearly is like a newscaster sort of thing that like doesn't want to be doing this, doesn't believe in any of this, and is just kind of there
Yeah.
because he has to be. Like he got like sent out there because he can't really do anything else, it seems like.
Yeah, he also very obviously like again just to keep obviously have to keep comparing it to Ghostwatch where the lead newscaster in that was like very caring and like gentle with the family and like obviously believed them and like wanted to help them. Frank does not give a shit. He doesn't yeah, he definitely doesn't want to be doing this. He very obviously thinks everybody is an idiot, like and it's like very obvious and it's it works really well for me in
It
this.
doesn't hurt that like the two uh Warren ripoffs
Yeah. Yeah.
like are like completely absurd. Like the minute they get in the house, the woman is like rubbing on the walls and shit. It's like I can feel something in this house, and he's just like, uh huh. What about the cat?
So yeah, so we meet immediately. My next note is we meet Lewis and Claire Berger. You know what is so weird? I feel like you don't hear the name Claire very often, but I literally just read that episode 13 book that I was talking about. Their main character, and that was named Claire. And I just started another book called Dead Silence. That's about like space horror stuff. And there's also a character named Claire. And I was like, that's really strange because I feel like you don't hear that name very often. And then I'm watching this and they're like Lewis and Claire Berger. And I was like, why is Claire following me
Well,
right now?
I do because I run a
Who's
Claire
Claire?
Danes fan club. So
Ah, there you go. I mean, and obviously I know Claire's is a thing. I just feel like
I
I've literally never met a person in real life named Claire, I don't
have I
think.
ever talked about on this podcast about when I applied at Claire's and they called me a year later.
I think so. That sounds
When
familiar.
like the so you know like in high school you got like when you're a senior you would get out like a week early because you'd be getting prepared for like graduation or fucking whatever. The
Sure.
we got out and like the day we got out of school, me and my friends went to this dying mall in Ohio that had like 9 stores in it still, and one of them was Claire's, and as a joke we all applied. And like because we were like, this place is not going to be open in like 2 months, let alone a year. A year later they called and was like, so we have your application. And I was like, my what?
Who are
She was
you?
like, Claire who?
That's hilarious. I would love to see you working at Claire's.
Oh, it'd be
Too bad
so
they're
funny.
out of business now. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we meet Lewis and Claire Berger, who are a paranormal investigating couple. Very, very obviously, blatantly a ripoff of the Warrens. The man literally looks almost exactly like the real Ed Warren, in my opinion. Claire doesn't really look like her, but she has the same like it's I'm all I'm saying is that this couple is doing a very good job acting like the Warrens. Except for like weirdly they have a cat with them named Shadow who I loved,
Yes.
and I felt really offended by what happens in this. But basically like they're talking about they show kind of like a piece, a personal interest piece about the couple, demon fighting demons, spirits, etc., etc. She's what's it called? She can sense things. She's
Psychic?
psychic is not the word I was thinking
I
of,
don't know.
but sensitive. She's a sensitive. And so they're basically just like talking about them, and it's like the exact same thing, right? And they basically start describing like why ghosts happen and things like that, and like what their abilities are. Okay. We are now 40 minutes into this movie when the reporter and the investigators finally enter the house for the first time. And they've also brought a Catholic priest with them. More on him later.
He rocks.
Um, so they basically say like the reason they bring the cat is because the cat is even more sensitive, and so the cat will be able to pick up on things before Claire herself will, and so she like needs him there as her like partner or whatever. So they walk in, and Frank is immediately like, okay, what's here? What are you feeling? And she's like, and she like touches the door jamb and she's like, I need a minute. like it's gonna take me a minute. And he's like, no, what do you mean a minute? Like just tell me what you're. He's like pushing her like, we're on the quote unquote live stream news. You can't just be like, oh, give me a minute to adjust. Sorry, I'm home alone and I heard a really loud noise.
Probably the cat.
It's probably Ghost
Uh,
Watch.
also, I should correct myself, and apparently it's not the woman in the van in the second movie. It's like a completely separate person.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I thought it
That
was
would have
her.
been really
I think
cool.
it's because her last name is like Stanzy or something, and then in Out There Halloween, whatever, it's Sparks is the last name. I think I just like equated the
Yeah,
two.
sure. Sure. So less cool. Okay. Basically, they go in there and she's like, yeah, I'm feeling something really, really evil. It's not the family, it's not the son, it's something else. It's like evil or whatever. The cat goes missing like almost
Yeah,
immediately, and they're like, well,
there's
that's not
there's a
great.
scene where like it goes running up the stairs that they go like following it, and like I guess they said in the commentary at some point the cat did get lost in that house, and like that
No,
they had to
poor
like it
Shadow.
like took them forever to find him to like film. But I guess like they said that like the cat and the dude that is the like whatever burger guy like bonded super well and was like having a great time while filming.
Nah. It's a cute cat.
Yeah.
It's a like a gray Bombay. Okay, so the cat goes missing, and they're like, okay, well, we'll figure this out later. Like we're on TV, and like again, the entire time that this is happening, it is like cutting in between commercials and stuff and whatever. So they come back and they explain what an EVP is, and because we are seasoned ghost hunters, we already know what an EVP
Yeah, because
is.
I
And
listened to
they
like
play it.
13 hours of the Zach Baggins Ghost Hunting for Dummies thing. I
That
clearly,
is true.
obviously remember exactly what all that is.
That's true. Um, you're licensed by Zachary Alexander
Yeah, I'm
Baggins
still
to
waiting
ghost
on
hunt.
my NFT certificate.
That he made you purchase at the end.
Yep,
Um,
$600.
that's a steal, to be honest. Um, yeah, Claire senses evil. They get an EVP that says leave, and they play it, and they're like, "Oh, did you hear that?" And Frank is just like, "Huh? Yeah, I don't know what it said though." And they're like, "Oh, here it says leave. I'll play it again." And it goes leave, and then Frank's like, "Okay." There was this whole thing where Frank was talking to the Catholic priests about like doing an exorcism. He's like, "Yeah, it's just like standard practice that we're like trained to do exorcisms," which is not true. He's like, but I've never done one because, like, obviously, an exorcism needs to be approved by the church and all that stuff. So like, and then he's like, okay, well, I hate to break this to you, but you might have to do an exorcism. So just like put a pin in that. And he's like, no, I can't. He's like, well, you just might. So after they get this EVP that says leave, um, I almost called them the Warrens, the Burgers, they are the Warrens essentially, are basically like, you need to do an exorcism on this house immediately. And the priest is like, I don't know. But before they do that, Frank is like, okay, I want to go down into the basement because if there's anything room that's like haunted in this house, it's definitely the basement. That's where Donald put the bodies of his parents after he killed them, and that's where they were discovered. So like, it's got to be haunted. So they start trying to go down to the basement, but then they hear a bunch of noises. And so Frank wants to go back because the noises are coming from the room they just left. And when they go back in there, all of the like recording and like spiritual equipment is like destroyed and on the floor. Lewis Berger is freaking out. He's like, "Oh my God, who did this? What happened here?" And Frank is just like, "Relax, come on." Like, which is like so funny to me because like, bro.
Frank is so over all of this shit from like the beginning that by the time anything starts happening, he's just like, fuck, I hate everybody.
Yeah, so like their equipment is just like destroyed, and so of course they're upset, and Frank's just like, okay, like
I thought there's
get over
some
it.
point, like, I think it's when they're doing maybe the phone calls later. The guy's just like
Yes.
brings it up again, and Frank's like, "Could you knock it off with your equipment shit. We're not paying for it. Let's do these calls.
He's he's like, are you gonna reimburse us? That was like very expensive. And he's like, I said we would talk about it later. So, yeah, so they cut to a commercial, obviously because the burgers are freaking out. There is a extremely weird tampon commercial. That's all I wrote about it. Um, Now we're at the seance. So I don't really know what the point of this call-in seance was because essentially Claire is going to sit and they're going to have a seance to like talk to the spirits in the house, but for some reason they want people to call in with questions question mark, I don't know. So then first of all it's like really awkward because nobody's calling at first and Frank is like, come on, we need callers, like call in. Finally somebody calls and says, Iron Maiden rules,
Hell
White
yeah.
Line sucks. And they hang up on him and that guy's like, weird, I don't even know what that meant. And then he's like, okay, come on, we need callers. And then somebody calls in just like, hi, I was wondering if you could contact my grandmother and tell her she's a bitch.
I mean,
Which made me laugh so
it feels
hard.
accurate to like the people that would call into this shit.
Yeah, and like, okay, no, we're not contacting any grandmothers. Doesn't anybody have a question for Claire? She's a world-renowned clairvoyant, blah blah blah. And I was like, what kind of questions were you wanting?
Yeah, I
If
don't.
if not,
I mean, I guess you would assume someone would call in and ask a question about like the murders that happened at this house or whatever, but
yeah, sure,
I
that makes
I would
sense.
assume if I invited anyone from the public to call into my TV show, they're just gonna call in and yell Baba Booey and hang up or some shit.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I feel like this and like the people standing outside the house in the beginning are like very clearly represent like most
Just
Americans. Like
America.
I was gonna say America, like I wouldn't do this, but you know what I'm saying. Um, okay, so he's like, yeah, no.
Oh, I think
Um,
I think the tampon commercial's on right now in the background, the one where they're playing tennis.
yeah, it's so fucking weird. Um, Nobody else calls, I don't think. And they're just like, okay, we're gonna like move on or whatever. Because then they see Shadow in the distance, so they run off, of course, to like get Shadow. Um, okay, here we go. This is the commercial I wrote down in full because I thought it was ridiculous and hilarious. There is a commercial, it's probably coming on soon for you, that is for a shooting range where it shows this like guy with a gun and it says, "Move over, Dirty Harry. Take a hike, Arnold. Hit the bricks, Rambo. There's a new gunslinger in town. You." And it goes on to like have this commercial about a shooting range, and then at the end it says, "Come feel the warm embrace of the Second Amendment."
The
Hell yeah,
commercials in this are
brother.
so funny.
That really got me.
I think the one that's like
Going.
the rock CD, the Quarry, the rock you'll the only all the rock you'll ever need. Fridays at midnight.
Yeah, I love that. Um, they do show the dentist one. There's a petting zoo one, that carpet one they show a few times. There is one like when shit starts to go down that is basically like, hey, hope you're liking the special. Come watch my monster movie afterwards or something like that. And I was like, it's really awkward because it's like after everybody is like,
Right.
spoiler, okay. So basically what happens next is that and they obviously it is fake and it is off camera, but we do see the remains of poor Shadow. And I have a lot of issues with this.
I mean,
I forgot to
oh god.
I was gonna say, I forgot to say, you did kind of mention it, but this entire time, the producer of the show has been outside in a van, kind of like watching what's happening. She doesn't seem concerned at all by anything that's going on. She's just basically like, cut to commercial. We're just gonna go to commercial. And like to your point, I feel like yeah, they should have just gone back to the studio, and she should have done
Well,
something.
I
But like,
guess like Cause like I guess there wouldn't be anyone in studio because it's not like the news anchors are like on at the same time as this. It was like it's a news, like the half hour news or whatever before this special. But
Oh,
like
fair. That's
I
true.
so I guess that explains why it just cuts to commercials a bunch. But it is also a thing where it's like I feel like once the cat is killed, you would like you would stop all of this.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It
Exactly.
it
It's like
also like because when we first started talking, I forgot who is responsible for the end of this, and so
sure.
once it had now, I'm just who how did they get in this house
That's
without
why
anyone seeing?
Well, that's why once I'm like going back over this and I'm like, oh yeah, the cat is like squished essentially. I was like, I have issues. I have like even more issues with it now. But okay, so they show the cat, even though Frank is like tells the camera guy, do not show it. He like looks down at it anyways.
Immediately pans down.
Yeah, and they cut to a another commercial break. It's like a long commercial break at this point, obviously. And when they come back, they're basically just like, obviously after seeing their cat be murdered, the the burgers leave. Um, basically, now is like when it gets kind of like starts ramping up a little bit more because the Frank is basically like talking to the priest or like trying to talk to the priest about what's going on, but the priest is like obviously very freaked out and like not really responding. And then they show like kind of like an expose about devil worship, which like we already kind of talked about, like the satanic panic kind of thing. Um, Frank is at this point begging the priest to do the exorcism on the house. He's like, you have to do it. You have to do it. Please just do it. Then it cuts to commercial again, and there is a very erotic popcorn commercial.
I don't remember that. I
Uh,
will pay attention for whatever comes in.
yeah, when it gets to you, you will see it. I was like, oh, okay. Erotic popcorn commercial is what I wrote. So so Frank and the priest go back to the basement. They're in the basement, and Frank is literally like, do the exorcism now. Do the exorcism. You have to do it. Do it, do it, do it. And the priest finally like breaks down and is like sobbing and is just like, he starts to do it, but then the door slams and they realize that they're locked in. Um, so Frank is trying to talk to the producer and be like, I think her name's Veronica. Like, Veronica, help. Like, I can't really hear you. We're trapped in the basement. Like, send somebody to unlock the door or whatever. And Veronica is like, okay, don't worry. We're going to send in an intern who is really bravely, like, decided to step up and he's going to go in with a third camera. The intern comes in with the camera and is just like you can hear him like sniffling and swallowing and like I thought that was such a funny detail because he's like obviously not a cameraman and he's trying, but he's just like like sniffling and shit. And he ends up like he goes in there and something runs at the camera and he basically is attacked. And when he falls over, you see um Lewis Berger like on the floor in the camera's view like bloody and stuff, but it's just like an instant. So at first you're like actually not really sure what's going on here. Um the producer is like telling Frank, just break down the door, get out of there. You have to get out of there. I'm going to call the police. Like somebody's in there. And so, finally, Frank is like, oh, like trying to break down the door and is like talking to the priest or whatever. And he's like, do it, do the exorcism, keep going or whatever. And finally the priest is like, I'm just an actor. I'm not a priest. I'm not a fucking priest. And Frank is like, shut the hell up. Shut up. And he's like trying to salvage like that they just hired this guy to like be on the TV
Right.
program. So it's like faked essentially. And he also pees his pants. So there you go. It's actually like such a funny shot because it's like the camera is like upshot on the steps and his pee is like dribbling down the step and I was like, that is some forceful pee. Um The door, while Frank is yelling at the priest, the door to the basement behind him opens. And so Frank is like, oh, Veronica, don't worry, the door's open. And so Frank goes back up into the house and is immediately attacked. You know, his camera, his microphone falls, whatever. Then it cuts to the commercial, and when it comes back, it gives us that like do technical difficulties like thing for a little bit. Um, what I find it really interesting and weird is that the twist ends up being that like the studio obviously planned this like haunted house thing, and the house wasn't actually haunted, right? Like they paid this priest to come on there and do the exorcism or whatever. They had that couple come on to like give them credibility, but then the cat ends up dying. And so like every time there's a noise somewhere, Frank I think Frank thinks that it's the production team doing
Hmm.
this. So he's like reacting in real time, but he still thinks there's nothing going on because he thinks the production team is like making all of this stuff up. What has actually been happening this entire time is that the beginning, when they were showing that it was a group called Harvest, and I don't remember what the acronym stood for, but it was basically that like Christian group that was like really, really against Halloween. And essentially what's happened is that they have broken into the house and hidden, and they smashed the equipment. They killed the cat. For what? Why?
Well,
And
because
then
Christians are lunatics.
yeah. And they have been killing everybody along the way. And so it's this religious group behind it, and they've got like when they cut back, they've got Frank like tied up, and they're like, how's it feel to be on the receiving end of whatever? I don't know. Then it kind of like pans over and shows everybody else's like dead bodies. I assume everyone's like bloody and like laying passed out or whatever. And one of the women, you know, they kind of like start showing her, you know, putting the camera over on her, and she's like, no, don't show my face. Because like this woman has been on TV before in the beginning, right? And I don't remember exactly what she says to Frank, but she ends up cutting his tongue off on live
Oh
TV.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, okay." And then again, it is like a very eerie scene just because of like the resolution of the
Yeah.
camera, and it's kind of dim light, and it's like all the bodies are just like piled up next to each other, and they like show basically like all of this blood just like spurting out of Frank's mouth and like the dead bodies, and then it just like cuts to static. And essentially, what happens is that the news hosts from the beginning come back on. It is no longer Halloween. The studio looks normal. They're dressed normal, and they're basically just talking about how Frank and everybody else on the crew has been missing. And then they're just like ramping up for the holiday season, and like that's the end of it. Um, so I think that my initial reaction to the ending when I watched it was that I did not like it. But now that I've kind of talked it out a little bit more, I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I think.
I don't know why they would do it on TV, but
I
yeah.
think it works well in being sort of different than what Ghostwatch is. Where
Hmm.
like I kind of appreciate that it isn't like where Ghostwatch is very clearly going for all of the shit that's happening is paranormal. Like I
Yes.
appreciate that like nothing in this is,
Yeah.
but I also kind of like there's a lot of holes that could be poked in like the plot of the end of it because it is a thing where you're just like, well, like there's like the production is like outside the whole time. How did people get in and
Right.
also these people disappear and but also like I don't know,
Right.
it's not a thing I'm gonna like sit and think about too hard.
Well, so it also makes a lot more sense, like with you now saying that the producer is not in the second one, because I'm assuming that the reason they're able to live air the broadcast again is because they've like taking care of the producer. Like, to be fair, she was like sitting out in the van, it just like a camera guy and her. So they probably, because like they were cutting over to her a lot, and she's like, okay, don't worry, Frank, we're going to commercial. But then like she stopped showing up. So I'm assuming that behind the scenes, the Harvest Group has like taken care of the producer and her and all the people. But to your point, I don't really understand the they went missing. Everybody saw the TV report that the group killed them, you
Yeah.
know?
I like
So,
I bel- I'm trying to remember because I know there was something where they at least discuss something from this in the second one. I just can't remember what it is at this point. But like I know there's some sort of connection where they at least like maybe during the Donahue style show they just like they talk about this happening, but I just can't
mhm.
remember at this point like what it was. Cuz I've watched like the WNUF one like a couple times now with like the commentaries and stuff. I think I only watched like the out there one just the one time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, overall favorable. Like I said, I've kind of warmed up to the ending, except for like the disappeared part. Um, now that I've kind of like talked it out a little bit more and like given it more context. So, but I mean, overall, I definitely feel like this is worth the watch. If you hate commercials, though, I don't think you'll get through
I mean, they're
it.
like we said, I think the commercials, honestly, for me, like there are a lot of them, but I think they are the most entertaining part because a lot of them are pretty funny, and like especially if you're like roughly our age, like
Yeah.
they're very nostalgic feeling because like they feel very real to what we grew up seeing commercials, especially if you were watching like you know post 8 p.m. TV where you would get a
Yeah.
lot of those like uh you know the fucking Monster Ballads CDs and the late night phone line commercials and shit like that.
Yeah. I also liked there was one that was about like parents against drugs or
Yeah, there's a
whatever.
bunch of
And it was
like
like that spin the bottle.
yeah, that like when it spins it lands on like a tombstone or some shit.
Yeah, so like when the bottle's spinning, it's like what are your kids if your kids are out, what are they getting into or whatever? And it's like a bunch of kids playing spin the bottle, but as the bottle's rotating, it's like what are they? Hypodermic
Yeah.
needles, pot, whatever, and then it stops on a tombstone, like the fakest looking tombstone ever. But it is so funny because it reminds me of all those commercials like this is your brain on
Oh
drugs,
yeah.
and then that other one where the girl's like deflated on the
I
couch and stuff
I
like
saw
that.
someone for Halloween like posted their Halloween costume this year and what it was them inside of a love seat with a deflated body, and then they're just their head outside of like of it. So it was just like that commercial.
That is
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I like it's pretty funny.
yeah. I mean, I will say like if you've listened to this podcast, like my uh stance on like found footage stuff, where like
Mhm.
it like I and 99% of it doesn't work for me. So me recommending this is like I think a big deal. Like the fact that it works, like it worked for me. I think it's worth watching. Also, there's uh, once like the cat is squished and stuff, and I think like the priest like is like you paid me to do this or whatever, and then it cuts to a thing about like satanic panic, like a news thing or whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, two of the people in it. One is Todd. One of the names of one of the people that is a convicted Satan worshiper or whatever in it is Todd Sheets, who was an SOV director, and one of them was named
Oh.
Gladys Polonia.
Uh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I like again, like if you have Shudder, you're already paying for it. I'd say give this a watch. If not, like
Yeah.
I'm sure you could find it in less legal ways. But I would recommend if you're a physical media person, the TerraVision Blu-ray is really good, and there's like a shit ton of like bonus stuff. There's more commercials and shit that they had filmed that didn't make it into the cut. Like
Oh wow.
there's like a bunch of stuff that was just like, other stuff they filmed that didn't make it. I think there was a short that was a like pseudo sequel to this that I know was on there. I just don't remember exactly what it was. It was like a 2 or 3 minute. Oh, it's a Christmas special set a year before the
Oh
WNUF Halloween special, but it's only like 2 minutes, and it's just like some shit with Frank. But there's a lot of stuff on it. It's like 2 discs, got the Out There special on it too. That's like a whole other movie. So if that's the kind of thing, I would recommend it. It's it's worth the like $20 or whatever it costs to pick
yeah,
up from
for
Walmart.
sure.
All right. Did you watch anything in the last day?
I did
Oh,
actually.
not me.
Um, Let me see. Well, obviously I watched this. I also watched the Shudder exclusive elevator game movie.
Oh yeah, good or bad?
You know, not terrible. It was actually totally watchable, I thought.
I feel like it had like
The
terrible ratings, and I was like, I'm not watching this.
I feel like on Letterboxd it has a really bad rating, but I felt like on Shudder it was like fine. Like it's nothing
Because
mind-blowing. Like don't get me wrong,
that was
but
what I almost put on yesterday instead of that Would You Rather, but I have not finished that yet. So
oh, you didn't finish Would You Rather?
no, I mean you could tell me the end. I got
Okay.
to the penguin like almost assaulting Iris, and then
Okay.
Caitlin
Um,
came home and was mad about all the yelling happening in the movie, so I turned it off.
sure. I feel
Oh,
that.
eggs and lights special
Um,
stripper commercial on here.
yes, I do remember that. It's the Shining
Yeah.
Trapeze Strip Club. Um, so Elevator Game was like surprisingly very decent. I do not think you would like it to maybe, but essentially like it's about a group of kids who have like a web show where they play quote unquote games. It's called Nightmare on Dare Street, which I thought was like kind of clever. And so they basically take like all of these games that are like spooky or supposed to talk to ghosts or contact dead people or whatever, and they play them, and that's their like show. And they have a sponsor or whatever, and they have not been taking the sponsorship very seriously. And so they're like, oh, we have to like do this episode now. And there's like a new, anyways, they decide to play that's where the elevator game comes in. So in the very beginning, like when it opens, there's a girl doing the elevator game. And then it cuts to like these group of people, and then they do the elevator game, and they like think it didn't work, but it did or whatever. And so, there's not like a ton of like it I could tell looking at this, like obviously it's a Shudder exclusive, but I feel like you can tell it's like lower budget. It still looked really good, but like a lot of the kills were like last minute cutaway, and like
Sure.
not it's not like super gory or anything. But the thing that I thought was interesting about this movie is that they like take the idea of the elevator game, which like originally I can't remember if it was Korean or Japanese. It might have been Japanese, which is like, anyways, it's not of American origin, but they made it American. And so I kind of like appreciated that they like took it and made up their own lore behind what the elevator game was, and wasn't trying to make it like, you know, like socially
Mm-hmm.
like appropriate or anything like that. And so like overall, like I thought, I thought it was surprisingly not terrible. I was expecting it to be really bad. I think I gave it 3 stars. But whatever. Then I watched, because you were talking to me last night about this Would You Rather movie that Jeffrey Combs is in, and Robin Lord Taylor, who plays the Penguin in
Mhm.
Gotham, who I'm obsessed with. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and watch this. And then as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, there's like so many big named people in this movie. This movie came out in 2012, and I don't know if I had ever heard of it,
I've seen
but
the poster pop up on like streaming things all the time, and I was just like,
yeah,
I know this is gonna be garbage. And like what I saw, like it wasn't good, but I was not like angry
I
watching it either.
I liked
I
it.
thought Jeffrey Combs was very good in it as like
He's so
the
great.
like just sadistic like shitty rich person putting him through this shit. But like
Yeah.
Sasha Grey is fucking terrible in it as like the fake goth woman that's like they're not gonna let all of us out, so fuck you. I'm stabbing you with this ice pick. Like she sucks. Like
I didn't actually even know who she was. She was like one of the people that I did not know who she was.
she started like she was in like did porn, was like very
Oh.
famous as like a porn star, and then like sort of traversed into like quote unquote real movies, but like I don't think she ever has done anything like big.
She definitely was like the worst person in this movie to
It
me.
wasn't even that like necessarily I think like she's bad. I thought her character was just like bad, and like I don't know. I was just like I was like could not tolerate her character, but seeing the dude from My Name Is Earl, pretty fun.
Yeah, so Eddie Steeples, maybe is his name, is in it, and I was like, that's great. Also, Rob Wells, who is from Trailer Park Boys, also great in it. Mr. McAllister from Home Alone is in it. Um, the thing that so like the and then Brittany Snow is like the main girl who I thought she was fine. Like she's not in a ton of stuff, but like I definitely recognized her. Oh, and then June Squibb was in it. She was like the older she played Hubie's grandmother in
Mm.
Hubie Halloween, who I was just talking about because she was like wearing all of those like lewd t-shirts or whatever. So like the premise of the movie is essentially like the main character, who's Iris, her brother has like bone cancer and he needs this like treatment and they do not have money. And so this doctor is like, "Hey, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Jeffrey Combs. He is very rich and he has this foundation where he will give people money. Like he's so rich, like the richest person you can think of." And she's like, "Okay, what's the catch?" And he's like, "Well, you have to come to dinner at my house and then play a game. And if you win, you get the money." And then she's like, "Okay, that seems sus." And the doctor is like, "Yeah, it's real though, because I went and I won and here I am." So she decides to go, obviously, because she's pure of heart and she wants to save her brother, even though her brother is like, "Just let me die." And she's like, "Chill out." The thing I found so funny immediately is like the brother is playing PSP. I was like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
it is definitely 2012. So she goes to the dinner where there are 7 other people, including her, I think. Jeffrey Combs is there. Jeffrey Combs is like MI6 or whatever bodyguard guy. And then his son, who I think's name is Julian in it,
Yeah, something like that.
and he's just like a piece of shit, rich, sadistic. They're all sadistic. And they literally eat dinner and they play Would You Rather, which, like, obviously everybody has heard of that. It's like, but it's normally like, would you rather have, um, I don't know, 12 eyeballs, or would you rather, I don't know, you know what would you rather is. But in this context, the would you rather are physical things you have to do that you do not want to do. And it slowly gets worse and worse um, each time they play the game. So, like, for example, the very, very first game that they play is Jeffrey Combs serves everybody like filet mignon with like foie gras and like all of this like fancy shit. And Iris is like, I'm so sorry, but I'm a vegetarian and I just like could not possibly eat this. And he was like, okay, well, here's our first game. Like, if you eat this steak, I will give you $10,000. It's like, would you rather eat the steak and get $10,000, or would you rather leave and not win any money? And so she's like, well, I need that money for my brother. So she sucks it up. She eats the steak. And Jeffrey Combs is immediately like, he is just like, we've sung his praises for years. He's amazing. He does such a good job in this role of playing somebody that seems positive but is actually like really
Mm.
dehumanizing, because he immediately is like, oh yeah, woohoo, Iris, can't believe that you bent your morals just for a measly $10,000, which is like, $10,000 is not measly to most people, you know what
Yeah,
I
he
mean?
says he's like, a lifetime of like morals and blah 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 out the window for like $10,000, like and shit like that.
Right.
He's like, we've talked about how like if he like him and Lance Hendrickson are two people that'll just be in like almost anything, and will be a thing
Right.
where like the only reason I will watch it is because I see their name in it, and will
Yep.
usually be like the only redeeming part of a lot of those movies. And like he's very good in that as just a piece of shit.
Yeah, like a smarmy piece of shit rich guy. I did also see that I have never watched Return to Haunting of Hill,
Oh right, yeah.
whatever, whatever the sequel is called, but I saw that he's in it again, and I was like, maybe dare I? Anyways, so it basically gets worse and worse. So like the second thing is like, Mr. McAllister is like a recovered alcoholic. He's like turned his life around. He hasn't had a drink in like 16 years. And he's like, no, I'm doing great. And Jeffrey Combs is like, oh, drink this wine and I'll give you $10,000. And he's like, no, I really can't. Like, I don't drink. I've turned my life around. And Jeffrey Combs is like, if you turned your life around, then you wouldn't be here. So you're still a piece of shit. Like, do you want to drink this bottle of wine or this glass of wine, or if you don't, you have to drink this whole decanter of whiskey. And I was like, that would kill you. You can't just. Then he fucking like chugs the whiskey, and I was like, my guy, you would not, you cannot do that. Um, and so everyone is kind of like, oh, this is kind of like, obviously this is messed up. Like, you know, this guy is just like messing with us or whatever. And then it gets like really serious. Well, also, I guess spoilers for this movie. I'm spoilering it right now. It gets really serious when Mr. McAllister is like, okay, like fuck you guys, I'm leaving. And Jeffrey's like, no, you're not allowed to leave anymore. Like, I told you guys before you could leave. It's past that time. And they just like shoot Mr. McAllister and he's dead. And so that's when it gets really serious. So then the would you rathers are like, would you rather stab this guy in the leg, or would you rather beat this guy in the back with a stick? Would you rather do this, do that? So it's like, basically, a lot of the people are like fending together, where they're like, oh, there's like this whole thing where they need to like shock each other, like either shock yourself or shock this other person. And of course, like the guy's like, don't worry, Iris, I can take being shocked. Just shock me. Don't worry about it. And for the most part, Iris is picking to punish herself over punishing other people, because she is legitimately pure at heart, where Sasha Grey's character is like stabbing and shocking and punching anybody like the first chance that she gets. She's got this like, she's basically just like, it's all for one and one for all kind of like situation happening.
Well, she
And
realizes immediately that it's just like only one of us is going to win this game. Like we can't work
right.
as a team or whatever, because it's just not going to work out
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, so that's essentially like the plot of the movie. They're most of them, aside from Sasha Grey's character, are working together. They try to escape, it doesn't work, and then yeah, the movie progresses from there. But yeah, no, who is that?
Tenebrae. Tenebrae
No,
has
I don't think I've
the
heard him meow
the
before.
squeakiest meow for such a
That
huge cat.
that's how Miso is. He literally goes like, ah, like that. It's so funny.
he
He
is
also
a
turned out to be our biggest cat.
he's a real goofball.
Yeah. We love cats. And so yeah, no, I ended up actually really, really liking it, because it had like, do you want me to tell you the
Yeah,
ending,
you can.
or are you gonna watch?
I literally I put it on as like, oh, I don't have to pay attention to this sort of thing. So
Okay,
you can
so
spoil it.
okay, the last game that they play is that he gives them a card with an envelope, and he's basically like, either you can, and then he brings in a barrel of water, and he's like, either you can look at the card and see what your task is, or you can have the the bodyguard guy hold you underwater for 2 minutes, and if you see if you survive. And they're like, well, that's not possible. And he's like, yeah, it is. Like the world record is like 8 minutes, or I don't know, something crazy like that. So like technically, could any person just hold their breath for 2 minutes? Probably not, but it's doable. And so people start opening their cards, and the stuff that's on the card sucks.
I said
So
I think
like,
when I turned it off was the guy that gets his hand blown off with like
okay, yeah.
like the little thing of dynamite or whatever.
Yeah, so he gets his hand blown off, and like obviously he dies. The next guy opens his card, and he has to cut his eyeball with a razor blade.
That explains the poster art.
So he does that. Sasha Grey's character, she decides, oh, her character is that she pulls the card, and instead of 2 minutes in the barrel, she has to do 4 minutes in the barrel. And she,
Good.
so she drowns. And then I think the last person um, oh my God, yeah. Okay, so the last person is Iris, and she decides that she's just gonna hold her breath for the barrel, so she does it. And while she's like under, holding her breath in the water, she just like thinks about her brother and about like him telling her a story, something, whatever. And so she survives, and then Jeffrey Combs is like, why don't, just for shits and gigs, why don't you open the card and like see what your punishment was gonna be? If she opened the card, her task was to pull out all of her teeth.
Jesus Christ.
So he's like, wow, you really, he's like claps, and he's like, wow, you really dodged a bullet there. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. So then now it's only her, and maybe his name is Lucas, the one that cuts his eyeball. He's the one that's like sitting next to her the whole time. That's like, go ahead and
Yeah.
shock me. I'll who, like, so they're the only two that are left. And so Jeffrey is like, okay, this last thing is, like, it's essentially like a Russian roulette type thing where they put a bullet in a gun, but whoever goes first has like the higher chance of winning. And so he's like, I'm gonna let you guys. I don't even remember what they do, but Iris ends up getting the gun, and of course, she's like steely this entire time, like I won't do harm, whatever. And so the guy is like, okay, Jeffrey says, so would you rather play Russian roulette and kill Lucas and get the money, or you can stop the game right now and you can both leave alive with no money? And so, of course, she's like, oh my God, thinking about it. And Lucas is like, he's like, oh my God, Iris, like we can both leave together. Like we've been partners this whole time. And, you have your brother, but I'm here because I'm taking care of my sisters, whatever. And like mid him talking, she just fucking shoots him and he dies. And it was like so startling because I was not expecting it. She just like blows him away like mid
I
sentence.
feel like maybe I've watched this movie before because that all sounds very familiar.
Could be. So Iris wins. She gets the money. Jeffrey Combs is like, okay, so before you even came, like we contacted, they're gonna pay for like the brother's
Yeah.
bone marrow transfer, and they're like, before you even came, we contacted a donor. We've like already like planned everything out, so this like he'll be getting the surgery before the week is over. So like, don't even worry about it. And so she's like, okay, great. I also, okay, I'll talk about it in a minute. So she basically is like getting ready to leave, and he's like, Iris, aren't you gonna say thank you? Which is like insane. And so Iris is just like, thank you, Mr. Lambrick. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Like what just happened in the last 2 hours wasn't the most like traumatic thing ever. So she goes home and she checks her brother's sleeping, so she goes to take a shower. I totally forgot that Sasha Grey
Stabbed
like
her in the
stabbed
ribs.
her in the ribs like immediately, and I'm like, doesn't she need medical treatment? I don't know if maybe they like gave her medical treatment like there or whatever, but I was like, that seems like a pressing issue. And she seemed like actually pretty fine after she got stabbed, so I don't know. But anyways, eventually she goes into the brother's room to like wake him up and finds that
Died.
he has basically taken all of his like cancer pills at once and has died of an overdose. So
All for nothing.
now she's literally, and so I kind of appreciate it that it was like a double negative.
Shouldn't she
Like,
still have like at least $10,000 for beating that steak?
I don't, well, yeah, so like she'll still have the money, but I don't, my other question was like, I don't know if like, because they all had a reason that they went, and hers was specifically to get this
Yeah.
surgery for her brother. So I don't know if like, sorry, that's it. That was your prize. Maybe she has the $10,000, but like she literally like gave up all of her everything that she stood for. She ate steak and she killed a guy, which are like two of the worst things you could do, right? And she and it's literally for nothing because he used the first chance that he got, like her leaving him alone because he thought like because they had a conversation where he's like, I don't want you to be tied down, like I want you to live your life and like just let me, whatever. And so now it's like literally all for nothing because he can't even get the treatment that she just killed somebody for. And I actually like really liked it. I don't know. It was like I don't want to say it was a fun watch because it definitely wasn't. But I feel like normally when I mean, I just spoiled the whole thing, but I feel like normally when we talk about this all the time when we're watching movies where there's like a group of people and they're just like all insufferable and annoying. And I didn't find that in this. Like, I found that everybody's dynamic was like interesting. And I mean, there is a lot of yelling, obviously, but I didn't find it like grating at all, which for me is like, not common. So I
Sure.
don't know. I recommend it.
Did you have anything else you watched? Or was that it?
um, no, that's it.
Alright. I watched nothing because I pretty much finished recording, ate, went to bed, and then
Yeah,
got up and went to work.
I watched. I don't really watch TV or movies like during the day. Like normally, I'll either do podcast or do like what's it called, audiobook. But since I already had Shutter up, I was like, I might as well just like put some stuff on. Like I wasn't really planning to pay attention to anything, but I ended up paying attention to both of the movies. Otherwise, no, I would not have watched anything. But yeah.
Alright. Do you have anything you want to shout out?
No, I really thought about it so hard, but
Let
I just
me
I just
see.
shouted out the only two things I that happened to me recently, which was Thrice and Core Keeper.
Let's see, since I had a negative shout out on the episode
I
yesterday.
I like literally, I know, like sorry about that. I literally texted Tiffany and I was like, we did anti shout outs and I immediately got so triggered about AI again. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
There
to get
was
so heated
there was
about
a
it.
fucking article today that like Chat GPT or whatever had to put out a thing about how like they have roughly 1 million users that they are like pretty sure are like into psychosis levels of like what like the AI is driving them crazy, and I'm like, great.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Like I really feel and they're like advertising like some other phone where you basically can have like conversations with the phone and like
Yeah.
I that is just so dangerous and scary and I desperately need people to just like reality check because like I do feel like a lot of people are talking to chat
Oh yeah,
GPT like it's real and just like
they are.
reaffirming the things that they're saying even though it's like incorrect and it's just like very sad to me and
It's
I
bleak.
it is very bleak. I saw this TikTok and I did share it, but it was essentially like this person that says like I can't explain it, but somebody like verbally talking to me about AI and ChatGPT is like visibly seeing a Cybertruck in person. And I was like, that is literally so true. The vibes are the same. So if you're somebody who hates Cybertrucks, but you're using AI,
God, I
maybe
see.
think about that.
There's like a fucking someone that has a Cybertruck around our neighborhood, and I see it all the time, and it makes me so mad.
Ugh, gross.
Um,
Anyways, I promise not to talk about this coming up,
yeah, we will.
but
We're still gonna end up talking about it because it's just the world.
I'm sure so, but
I'm gonna shout out the new-ish "The Sound of Animals Fighting" album, "The Maiden," which is very good.
hell yeah.
Uh,
Hell yeah.
I was like lukewarm on like their previous full length. Like it's good, but it's not like my favorite. But this one, very good. Anthony Green is in like top form on it, I think.
Yeah, agree.
Um,
Redonkulous,
all
as
right.
the kids used to say.
I don't know what the next movie is gonna be. Kit is gonna pick something. Me and him are gonna record next week,
All right.
so
Godspeed.
it'll be something stupid, I assume.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
all right. If you would like to support us, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/IBSufferPodcast. Uh, me and you got to figure out something for November bonus episode, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe whenever you get back from your weekend away, we'll figure something out. I thought about something earlier
Weekend
that I was like, oh,
away.
we should do that as a bonus episode, and then I completely forgot what it is, so
Well, think
I
about it.
might
We'll
remember it.
we'll figure out something. Yeah.
Um, you can buy some shirts and shit at a Redbubble shop. Link in show notes because I don't remember what the fucking address was for it.
Who knows?
It's
Not
in
me.
like if you follow us on Instagram, it's in our link tree and all that shit. I'm sure if you just go to like Redbubble and just search "I Be Suffer" podcast, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Uh, you can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kid at Hidden Kidstery and Kidfication of Blood. You can follow Katie at Werewolfface. Enjoy Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast, Nate Gay Movie Club. All right. Happy Halloween. Call 1-900-MONSTER.
Happy Halloween, 1-900 monster. Maybe I'll start that up again as part of my Patreon. You can call me and I'll be a monster.
Yeah, there you go. But it's all just in a newsy voice. Hey, I'm a werewolf.
Good. Extra, extra.
Mummy coming at you.
I'm a mommy.
All right. I hope you get your tongue cut out, but why?
Oh, bye bye.